All right. Daredevil Season 3 official trailer just dropped, and I'm a little excited because I really enjoy this franchise, and I enjoy the writing and directing of the show, and it's got some amazing performances. As a legally blind person in the film industry, not to say I don't like Charlie Cox, he's great, I think he's a fantastic actor, but I could make the argument that they should have made a better effort to maybe try to find a visually impaired actor to play. Here's my reaction. I've never done one of these reaction, and this, oh gosh, I've never done one of these before, so let's do this. Ooh, Fisk.
Prison has changed me.
Ooh. We're getting another hallway fight scene.
Who are you? I'm Daredevil.
I hope Betsy's safe, because somehow Fisk got a Daredevil costume. I'm getting season 1 vibes from this. Season 2 is still great. I love the Elektra storyline, but all that really tied in with the bigger Netflix MCU with Defenders and Iron Fist. But this looks great. From what I can see, this wasn't an audio described trailer, unfortunately, but it's obviously Wilson Fisk taking on the bigger role of the Kingpin, and So Daredevil Season 3 drops on Netflix October 19th, and this is honestly the best Daredevil in non-comic form that we've had, I think. Like, the movie with Ben Affleck was awful. So off the bat, I am a fan of this show, and I am just excited for Season 3, but how do I feel about a person who is sighted playing a blind character as someone who is legally blind and is in the film industry? This is just a little personal to me because obviously I'm someone who was born severely visually impaired. I'm legally blind in the States, and I make movies. I make films, and I'm a director. So how does this make me feel? So a big thing for me is you have to understand, as someone who lives with a disability, I know how hard it is to find work. I know how hard it is to get a job. I know how hard it is to go into an interview, be qualified for something, and have a good attitude, but if they don't notice your disability or you disclaim it later, the tone of the person just completely changes, and I've seen that firsthand, no pun intended. I've heard it firsthand. It sucks. It's not a good feeling, and there's so many people out there with disabilities who are qualified, who want to work, who look for work, and are just rejected and denied because people who are not understanding, people who don't understand what it's like to actually live with a disability, see it as a burden, see it as a liability, and it's disheartening. So you have to think about it when movies want to use a disability, right? When media wants to use a disability as a plot device, and then they cast someone who doesn't have that disability, it's very disheartening because there are actors with disabilities, actors who are blind, there are visually impaired actors who want to work, and oftentimes they won't be accommodated on set. So when the opportunities arise, which is very far and few, of a character with a disability or blindness, for example, is being portrayed in media, you know, you think that actors with disabilities, actors with visual impairments would be considered for the role, but oftentimes it's just not how it is, because producers, employers do not want to accommodate on set or make the actual effort to find someone who is visually impaired in the acting industry. The thing is, they exist, and I'm friends with a few. Not only that, but okay, so I just directed a commercial, for instance, that used people with disabilities. With this branded film, there is a blind, visually impaired character, and we casted them. We used like their cane, and they, you know, like they're a part of this story, this message that we sought out to shoot. But we actually used a blind actor, a blind person who goes to auditions, a blind person who is relevant to the industry. And you know how many I actually went through in the casting process? The thing was, we set up the casting call, and like the auditions were literally like the following couple days and within the week, and we got back at least like 12 to 15 visually impaired and blind actors and talent. So you can't really argue that they don't exist, they're not out there. It's just, are you making the effort to actually find them? Now, we did use a casting agency, so, and I think most professional channels would do such a thing, you know, hire a third-party casting agency who knows what they're doing, who knows how to find these people. But there's also resources that I will link down below. Here in the United States, the Lighthouse for the blind and visually impaired we're kind of like, they have a department that helps sort of library, in a sense, blind actors and talent. They can send out casting calls for you, or you can get in contact with them if you're looking to include an actor who's visually impaired or blind in your, you know, it could be a scripted piece of content or non-scripted. So I think moving forward in the industry, efforts need to be made. And someday I would love to take another stab at Daredevil in a feature length, in a movie format, that isn't Ben Affleck. That turned out great. I think there's many wrong elements with that, but there's such a difference. Like, we really can tell when someone is portraying blindness in such a poor way. Like, it's kind of obvious. Like, you can be the best actor in the world, but you don't have the experience of waking up every day and having most of the world visually out of reach, or completely. So in short, if you're making a piece of content that is revolved around a blind character or a disabled character, and you actually hire someone with that disability or very similar, can very much has all the symptoms, it makes a big difference for authenticity, for your story, and the community that, you know, you would want support from can actually see that through, even if they're blind. Just make sure your content is audio described. That's a whole nother topic, but audio descriptions, it's a way that blind people see movies, and I have a whole little video essay on that if you want to check that out. But this is a dialogue, of course, and this is just my opinion from someone who is legally blind and oftentimes rejected for jobs that one is qualified for. And I think it's more insulting, though, when you want to use a disability as a plot device but not actually contribute or be considerate for that community and just kind of profit off that disability. Like, that doesn't rub me the right way. So at any point, if I get my hands on a project, whether it's consulting, writing, directing, casting directing, or producing, and disabilities involved, I want to make this the best effort possible to make sure that disability is portrayed and represented well. I'd love to direct a reboot of Daredevil in the MCU, like if they wanted to do a movie format. I know the Netflix one is already like connected to the whole MCU, so I don't know, down the future, if they ever wanted to like reboot the movie side of Daredevil, Marvel, give me a call. Like, let's talk. Call my rep. Call my directing rep. As you can tell, I just have some feelings about this, and if you have different feelings or the same, you agree or don't, just sound off. There's comments, and that's the great thing about this medium, is that we can have this dialogue and just keep it civil, and I hope that you could see a little bit differently, just like me. And with that, I will hear you next time. Bye.